This is the second part of a series. The first one introduced the world of Mario to you, at least my interpretation of it. Now let's get into sequels. Subscribe to see some fan casting. Now we get crazy. Super Mario Bros. 2, possibly subtitled Rise of Wario and Waluigi, or just the Wario Brothers. If they are actually brothers, I'm not sure. Let's just assume that they're brothers. I don't think that's officially canon, but let's just assume that they're brothers. Start with a short clip of Mario and Peach getting married, possibly set to the choir opening of Foster the People's Warrant. Oh, right. There wasn't any Foster the People songs referenced in the first movie, was there? Or the first, you know what I mean. This must have been written during my Foster the People phase. I do remember that. For some reason, thinking of making a Mario movie, I was like, hey, let's stick a Foster the People song in that scene! Then, as the jazzier part of the song starts, you show Wario and Waluigi breaking out of prison. Have a montage span a few years, showing the W's getting back into the criminal gang and the Toads trying to hunt them down, mixed with clips of Mario and Peach raising Mario Jr., usually called Baby Mario. In Mario Kart, you can unlock Baby Mario, and I think because you have a choice to either play as Mario or Baby Mario, and you could theoretically choose them both and play them, or they both race, is what I mean. You can have Mario racing against Baby Mario. My brain saw them both racing together and just thought, that can't actually be Baby Mario, because how would they race together? There's no time travel in this game. That must be Mario's son. And thus, now it's my official headcanon that Mario has a son. Wait, now that's tickling something in my head. Hold on. Okay, for some reason, in the Mario Brothers movie that we try not to talk about, I thought I heard once that Luigi was Mario's son for some reason, even though it's still called Mario Brothers. But just looking up on Wikipedia, I didn't see that, so let's just pretend that movie doesn't exist right now. I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? I've just been talking about Mario. There's no Mario movie. So the Toads are closing in on the Wario Brothers, forcing them into a kind of go big or go home mentality. So they plan on robbing the royal castle and or bombing it. That's right. My plan for Mario 2 is to introduce acts of terrorism, like legit, they are just bombing a royal building. I just realized that thumbs up may have come across as sarcastic. It's not sarcastic. I'm just sad because I know Illumination is not going to be this legit. The W's heist coincides with a ball that Mario, Peach, and Luigi are attending. Baby Mario, who's toddler age, was brought along so that he wouldn't be left alone, but he gets bored and starts to explore the castle. The W's are sneaking around, executing their elaborate heist. They are about done when they are caught by the wandering Baby Mario. That's when the idea dawns on them of how they can get their revenge on Mario. They kidnap Baby Mario. Now Mario is looking for his son and sees him getting taken by the Warios. He could have caught them too, if not for the bomb that Wario set off to cover their tracks. So Mario and Luigi set off on another adventure, this time to rescue Baby Mario, because I thought it would be a good idea to still keep the formula of Mario having to rescue somebody, but shake it up a little bit by who gets rescued. Sort of did the Taken movies do that? How many Taken movies are there? I only saw the first two, a long time ago. But I know people make jokes that this time he gets taken. The W's decide to go to the jungle and find Donkey Kong to bargain with him, because their criminal enterprise is failing and they want in on his operation. They use the bombing of the castle and the kidnapping of Mario Jr. as credentials. I was thinking some comedy could be had with the idea of the Warios kidnapping Mario Jr. just at random. They don't really have a plan. They just oh, here's his son, let's grab him before we bomb the place. But they really don't know what to do with a kid, so I don't know what exactly you would do, just since these story ideas are focusing more on the gritty action movie vibes, this would be the time and place for some more kid-friendly hijinks to ensue. Also when they leave him with Donkey Kong. For some reason I just like the idea that Donkey Kong's so
chill and swag that he knows how to handle the kid. Again, I don't know what that would actually look like, but the concept of Wario and Waluigi just at wit's end because of the kid, and then hand him off to Donkey Kong, and oh hey, it's a baby, I know what to do with him. Like, I like that.
After Bowser's supposed demise, Donkey Kong took over his black market operations, and is now the big boss monkey, even though he's an ape. I want him to seem a little like King Louie, so he's like the mafia leader in his dark jungle cave with a monkey army surrounding him. Just, yeah, treat Donkey Kong with that type of scope, please.
I ended up developing a very particular vision for Donkey Kong, or at least like how he's introduced. I tried to do a concept drawing back when I was first writing this. I just had this picture in my head of like the big mafia boss leaning back in his chair, except it's Donkey Kong, and his arms are relaxed, like slung over the sides of the chair, like he's Mr. Chill, he's Mr. Cool. But then his feet, his little ape feet, are crossed all businesslike on the table.
So this would have had to have been around the same time as the Jungle Book remake, but just make him big, make him scary, make him fun. Not too much to ask. Make him not Seth Rogen. I mean, Seth Rogen isn't that bad of casting, but yeah. Donkey Kong is hesitant to work with the W's at first, but then the idea of trapping Mario grows on him. He makes a deal with the W's to let them into his operation if they do something for him first. When Bowser fell to his death and bled out onto the ground, a special kind of mushroom began growing on that patch. Because he still had the power of the mushroom, charged with magic and infused with lava running through his veins, when he hit the ground, his blood basically fertilized the ground to create a new breed of giant supercharged mushrooms. Donkey Kong wants the W's to fetch some of those mushrooms to prove their worth, so they have to travel across the worlds to get them, possibly with the Mario Brothers on their tail. The W's arrive back at Donkey Kong's treehouse with these supercharged mushrooms just as Mario and Luigi get there. Upon seeing that Mario has discovered his hideout and that the Toads are not far behind, Donkey Kong decides to use his newly acquired supercharged mushrooms. He has this new drug operation, and so now he's surrounded, and he's mad that the Wario and Waluigi brothers led Mario and his posse to his operation, which is like a big tree house. I might describe that later on, but it's this big scaffolding tree house type thing. And basically, he just thinks, I can't let my supercharged drugs fall into the enemy's hands, so if it's either lose them or use them, I'm gonna use them. I'm gonna use them all. He eats them and turns into a giant, fiery, 40-50 foot version of himself. He stands on top of his tall treehouse made of one of those big trees with long, thick, swooping limbs, and starts throwing barrels down at Mario and Luigi. Again, like, he thinks he's gonna lose all of his drugs anyway, so he just takes the barrels of the super mushrooms, lights them on fire, throws them down. He's Donkey Kong, he has to throw flaming barrels at some point. The Mario Brothers start climbing up the tree and the scaffolds of the treehouse while dodging the flaming barrels that are barreling down the limbs towards them. So again, imagine like this big network of swooping limbs and the barrels are like going all over the place. That's like, just make it a crazy action fight scene. I don't know how exactly they defeat Donkey Kong, but somehow they do, and find that during the giant ape battle, Wario and Waluigi escaped with Mario Jr. once again. I haven't really come up with how they rescue Baby Mario either, but I want it to be more of the serious climax, where it's like more of the personal confrontation when they get to Wario and Waluigi, to counterbalance the crazy pre-climax that was the Donkey Kong fight. Like, that's the big, like, okay, this is the crazy action moment, and then you kind of slow down to have more of a gritty one-to-one fight with the Wario brothers. It'll end happily, of course, with Mario saving his son and returning home. And now for the third Mario movie, which is in fact Mario Kart. Start with a scene from Mario's past, when he was a racer, where he is winning a race, possibly set to Foster the People's Hell in a Beat. I don't know why I keep thinking of Foster the People. I'm glad I was aware of that. Then didn't show that Mario was telling the story to Baby Mario. One day when Mario, Peach, and Baby Mario are out, they are attacked by a group of Koopas riding motorcycles and driving scrappy carts. The Koopas capture Mario and his family, Mad Max style. I do like the idea of Luigi being the one that's now on his own, having to track someone down, and like seeing him be a little more bumbling about it. They are brought back to the Koopas' camp, where it is revealed that Bowser is still alive, in a way. There are zombie skeleton Koopas known as Dry Bones. Bowser has been turned into something like that. Like, I know I've seen images of, like, skeleton Bowser, I don't know what the context is, but that's what I was going for. Though, like, he technically died, but since there's already some reason why Koopas can resurrect as zombie bone Koopas, mixed with the fact that he was still supercharged with the mushrooms and stuff, he's come back as like a fiery skeleton Bowser. Bowser wants revenge again, so he makes Mario and his family compete in a dangerous gladiator-like race.
So there's like the legit racing that is just basic racing. It still has its dangers and its excitement, but it's more organized and regulated and safe. But the underground racing is really when things get interesting. There, people have learned how to pump their cars full of these power-ups. I guess it's sort of like the Shimmer in Arcane, where it not only serves as drugs, but it can also serve as fuel for mechanics. That's how I was imagining this world functioning, that you have your plants that give you fire powers and ice powers, and like double your size and stuff like that. If you pump that into a car, it's gonna make the car act different. So that's really what I wanted to play around with Mario Kart. Like, instead of driving into a magical little box that gives you a gift, you have your car juice, your drugs, your nitros, your guzzling that you dump into your fuel tank to give you a fiery boost. Or, you can just throw banana peels at people. That works too.
A lot of other villains and people that Mario had met along the way are competing too. Mario fights through the races, protecting his family and climbing the racing ranks. At random intervals in the main storyline's progression, Mario will flash back to his racing days.
So I wanted to explain the flashbacks a little better. Admittedly, full transparency, when I originally wrote that Mario has some sort of tragic backstory, I didn't actually know what at least the details of that backstory would be. That's the joys of discovery writing. You get to make stuff up and just explain it later, hopefully. So all I had originally was just that Mario and Luigi are racers that are climbing the ranks in the legitimate side of the racing, and then they get under the attention of the royalty, which is where Mario meets and starts to fall for Peach. But then they're hired to go undercover into the shady racing, where all the crime lords get their racing fix. Now, I still stand by that setup, but I didn't really have much more than that. I just thought, yeah, Mario goes undercover to take out some crime lords, and he does that, and that's why everybody doesn't like him. But there were still a lot of unanswered questions, and I decided I wasn't gonna settle for that. I wanted to come up with a specific plan. Plus, I realized that I basically just ripped off the movie Speed Racer. I've been editing footage of that movie for examples of what the races should look like, because that's essentially Mario Kart the movie, or at least the closest thing we'll get to it, besides for, I don't know, maybe Wreck-It Ralph, or, Mad Max. And then I realized that, the main plot of that movie is humble main character, gets some attention because of his legitimate racing, but then gets sent undercover in the shady part of the racing world in order to take out a crime boss. So I started thinking maybe I should try to do something different, just to add a little more nuance. It all really came together when I realized that Daisy is a character that I have not done anything with. Granted, I'm not in with all of the deep Mario lore. I'm just basing this off of, the 2 games that I played. So half the characters, I don't actually know what they're supposed to be like. I'm just making stuff up. But I thought I could include her if I can. So this is my plan. Daisy. She is described as a tomboy and more of a rambunctious character, I presume. And she may or may not be Peach's cousin? I don't exactly know the relationship, but apparently nobody does, so I'm just going to assume that it's some sort of cousin-like relationship. Daisy does not have a family, so the king took her in and tried to pair her and Princess Peach together to try and like kind of balance each other out more. But Daisy is the type that doesn't like the castle life, so she runs away to join the racing gangs. The king has tasked the Toads with bringing her back, but they know that she won't listen to them, and they need someone who can actually connect to her. Now, Daisy and Peach had connected. Peach likes racing, but wants to do it just legitimately, and Daisy is always kind of trying to coax her back into the edgier side. But they can't put Peach in any danger, so the Toads decide to hire Mario and Luigi behind the king's back in order to try and get Daisy out of that world. And you want to know what the funny thing about this is? Like, I've been coming up with this just over the past couple days to try and fill in some of the gaps. And when I started, I did not realize that I just wrote another Save the Princess storyline. It's in my blood now. Mario is in my blood. But honestly, I like this take on it, because you want to stick to the formula of Mario having to rescue somebody. So having it be that she actually wants to be a part of the criminal racing syndicate, and Mario is there to try and coax her out. I like that. I was also going to have the element that the king doesn't want to, what's the phrase? He doesn't want to tick off Bowser or the other crime lords. And at first you just assume that it's because of like peacekeeping reasons, because Bowser's too big that if you tick him off it could be dangerous. So they need to be kind of discreet. The problem is Daisy is kind of locked into a rivalry with Bowser Jr., who's the champion of the criminal underworld racing. Bowser himself wouldn't necessarily care about racing, but Bowser Jr. is obsessed with it, so then that's why some of the power-up trade has been diverted into like car power-ups and like illegal modifications and things like that. Daisy has also angered the W's, specifically Waluigi, because he had taken a fancy to her, but she had rebuffed him, because he's Waluigi, and he's creepy. So then the Mario brothers enter and throw everything off by winning several races and befriending Daisy. Also, I thought it would be funny to embrace the irony of having the Waluigis already be established, that are like, they're the mustachioed Italian brothers trying to make it big in racing, and then hey, here are these other mustachioed Italian brothers trying to make it big in racing. So I thought it would be interesting to present that kind of from the W's perspective, them feeling irked by the Mario brothers' presence. So they befriend Daisy. When they tell her they want to take her back to the castle, at first she is mad, but then she softens and starts to make moves on Luigi in an attempt to get him onto her side. She also tells them why she actually left the castle. The king is actually in Bowser's pocket to some extent. He may not be like full-blown corrupt, he may not really realize what he's doing, but because Bowser is just so powerful, he is under his thumb. When she found that out, she just couldn't take it, so she went to both live her dream as a racer and also to try and overthrow the Bowsers. So that's why she really is invested in trying to win the races, and why she wants the Mario brothers and Peach to also join the races, because then they can overthrow the Bowsers and try to turn the tide, which the king doesn't want. Meanwhile, the W's, in response to losing the spotlight, resort to extra illegal power-ups in order to beat Mario. So now that everything is just kind of escalating, the public is starting to grow wary of Bowser and his power-up empire. Except they don't fully know that it's Bowser, they just know that power-ups are everywhere now, and that the races are getting more and more dangerous. The king needs to appease them, but you know, he can't rat out Bowser because he's under his thumb. There will be consequences if he does any harm to Bowser's empire, so he charges the Toads with finding someone to throw under the bus. And the Toads then resort to asking Mario and Luigi to give them someone, which they give them Wario and Waluigi. Now true, Wario and Waluigi are complacent and used illegal cheats in order to win, but they're not like big crime lords, they're just buffoons. Arrogant and dangerous buffoons, but still buffoons. So this is why they want revenge. They were technically arrested wrongly. It sets it up less like it's just, oh, you foiled my plan, so now I'm going to get revenge. And it's more like they actually feel betrayed. And also, maybe that could be why they're so dead set on actually becoming crime lords, because now, like, they've gained that reputation, so when they break out of prison, that's what they want to do. Just, they have the reputation now, might as well capitalize on it. But that could also be why Donkey Kong doubts them and needs them to prove how tough they are, because he knows that they weren't actually the big bosses that they were arrested for being. So things keep escalating until Daisy and Bowser Jr. end up challenging each other to a race duel on a super dangerous track. Mario goes after them in an attempt to stop them and save them both, but things go horribly awry. They all spiral out of control, and Daisy and Bowser Jr. both die. Yes, you were listening correctly. Like, I needed something to happen, so this is what happened. So Mario, feeling broken up, accepts full responsibility for this. Now, not only does the king hate him, but the Koopa King hates him. So he steps down and retires to a humble plumber's life, and racing is forever banned. To me, this adds a lot to the idea of him saving Princess Peach later on. Like I said in that video, he's doing this kind of out of redemption, not only because he cares about Peach, although caring about Peach is probably technically the more important aspect of it, because he does care about Peach, obviously. They're married at this point, with a child.
It would also give Luigi borderline PTSD, which is why he's so cautious and afraid.
And this is also why Bowser is so vengeful, because his army was crippled. Actually, he was crippled when he lost his son, and any interactions between them, I wanted to have sort of like a, my boy, sort of energy to flesh out Bowser a little bit. Like, he's the big, scary turtle overlord, but, you know, he likes his son. And then when his son is taken away, he becomes a vengeful murderer and slave trader. So, you know, downward spirals, they're fun to watch. Sometimes. Kinda. Back to the present. Mario is responsible for Bowser's son's death, and he has already beaten him once and left him for dead. At this point, Bowser's empire is wrecked and ruined. All he has is vengeance. He holds Mario responsible, he wants to see him suffer. So he captures his whole family and forces them to race. But all of the Marios manage to win the races because they're just good. And it eventually boils down to Bowser challenging Mario to a duel on the same track that his son was killed. They fight to the near death. And when Mario realizes kind of what's going on, he tries to extend a hand and put the past behind him because, you know, this all started when he kind of poked the bear, so he doesn't want to finish it by poking the bear. But Bowser doesn't accept it, so Mario ends it once and for all. I still don't have all the details worked out, but hey, like, this isn't actually gonna happen. I'm just having fun.
Crazy fights. I just want it, essentially it's Mad Max for kids. That's all I want, just Mad Max for kids. Or just Mad Max. But it's Mario. Yeah. Hopefully I'm able to get across what I was going for, which was just go all in on the world and the tone and just make this like a big, crazy adventure. And honestly, as far as like video game adaptations go, now that I've seen Arcane, I'm like, you could take it as a sign that things are going to get better because now like we have a legitimately like great video game adaptation. But I'm actually thinking it's gonna do the opposite because now it's like the one video game adaptation that like genuinely works is so good, everything else is just gonna be so middling. Obviously, I don't really want Mario to be quite on the level of Arcane, but I mean, is that too much to ask? The way that it handles like the shimmer drugs turning people into monsters and things like that, and the action and just the general world building. Realistically, Mario would lean more towards Maya and the 3 than Arcane, but I digress.